You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world. Fairly soon, the time will tell. You telling me the things you're gonna do.
Good Monday evening. How is everybody? It's time to jump into the fire run hall here. We hope everybody's had a great Monday. Boy, did it cool off. Little nip in the air today. When you're old like me, sometimes, it temperatures, bother you a little bit. But we were okay. So other than that, a great Monday, or as great as we can expect it. Oh, go to hell, Garth. I love you, but no, I'm more important. Hello, Kim. Hello, Alan. Quick update. If you saw yesterday, they did have to take my granddaughter to the emergency room. Some COVID-related nausea and all of that stuff. They gave her Zofran and sent her home. Talked to Amy earlier. She is not doing that well right now, so it would not surprise me within the next 24 hours Amy is in the hospital. Her endocrinologist is kind of pissed a little bit at that little hospital down there in North Georgia that they did not admit her immediately upon the test coming back positive. And with Amy being a pump dependent diabetic, she is at extreme risk. So keep the prayers. Last night, I read to you a post from Dr. Christopher Haddock. He's over there at Erlanger South on Highway 2, right before you get to 75. This afternoon, he was admitted to the hospital, COVID. And we will see how that goes. So keep all those folks in your prayers. This is a real deal. Earlier today, if you've not heard it already, the Tivoli, who has been showing the Bobby Stone film series, Tivoli shut it down due to the spike in cases in Hamilton County. They have elected to close it down. And if you have purchased tickets, give them 30 days and they'll get you your money back. If you have not already heard, if you missed the evening news, it could be the end of an era for the Chattanooga area. Friends of the festival, who have run the Riverbend Festival forever, have laid off all employees except for two. And that's the head honcho, Mickey McCamish, and one salesperson. Everybody else has been cut loose. and they are going to begin the process of liquidating Friends of the Festival assets. That includes fencing, that includes stages, everything that has been accumulated over all of these years of the Riverbend Festival. And they tried to keep the money rolling in. They had a couple of concerts at AT&T Field, but that was not enough to keep it going. And so my gut tells me Riverbend's over. And that had become a Chattanooga tradition, albeit it had changed a little bit over what the original Riverbend was, 10 nights, something every night. Either you loved it or you hated it. I don't know if we'll ever, my gut tells me we'll never see it again. Because when you start liquidating assets, when you start getting rid of your stages and your equipment and everything else that you've used all these years, does that not indicate you don't plan on coming back? We hope that, down the road it may come back. It's a damn good cigar. But, they had changed it from the original concept when they had 4 nights at an increased pin rate, and people still bitched about it when they obviously don't understand the concert business. You cannot get name acts. Try to buy a concert ticket to see the Eagles. Decent ticket for the Eagles is going to cost you $300 each. And they're usually one of the biggest tours of the year. Rolling Stones, same thing. They had a tour for 2020 scheduled before COVID. You'd have to take out a loan to get a ticket to see the Stones. So, but people year after year complained about Riverbend. Why don't you bring somebody here? I feel very lucky in getting $120 tickets for the Doobie Brothers, which I have not asked for a refund on. Because hopefully by July 23rd, 2021, maybe COVID will be a thing of the past and I'll be able to go see the Doobie Brothers, complete with one of Kim's favorites, Michael McDonald. So, we can only wish Mickey and Friends of the Festival the best of luck. Damn it. I know my cigar went out. Pardon me. Now, this is one thing I will never give up. They're not going anywhere. But look closely at your camera, people. Tell me what you see. If you can read the label. If you can read the label. There you go. I don't know if you can read it or not. There you go. Can you read the label? $1 for somebody that tells me what that is. I think it's on there just long enough for you to read what's in that bottle. I have making my kids happy. Bingo, Alan. I'll send you $1. But I ain't giving up the cigars. They're not going anywhere. And to that person who was making comments about my smoking, you have nothing to do about this. This is a personal decision. Next time you want to chime in, fat boy, know what my family health history is. Otherwise, you got that? Now shut your freaking pie hole. You get the Kiss My Ass award. But I'm not giving up the cigars. Because you don't inhale cigars. If you can inhale a cigar, you're a better man than I am. But it's time. Although if you go through my family health history, heart disease is hereditary. My cardiologist will tell anybody that 80 to 90% of my issues are based on heredity. My father did not ever smoke until after he had 3 heart attacks. Never smoked before that. And from the age of 43 to the age of 53, my father had 10 heart attacks and 1 stroke. It's hereditary. It runs on my father's side of the family. So, to that jackwagon this morning, one more time. There you go. Now, I did notice today AstraZeneca, if you've not seen it on the news, AstraZeneca has now become the 3rd drug company with a vaccine. And I watched an interview with the head muckety muck of AstraZeneca. It's 90% effective. Hi, Susan. But the encouraging news is it is showing to have some effect on people who are already asymptomatic. Bottom line is they will not call it a cure, but it is possible that the AstraZeneca vaccine could nip this thing in the bud. All I know is I'm getting one. Susan, please do not call a single man baby because it just tears us up inside. Yep, Shirley, he was admitted this afternoon. That's encouraging as hell. That this can take care of folks who are asymptomatic, keeping it from blowing up into full blown COVID. Oh, I'm going to tell you the compound. We got a new compound. Hopefully you like it. It's a whole lot simpler. I have become what is being referred to as a minimalist. Less is more. The less I have to deal with, the better off I am. Yeah. But that is encouraging news from AstraZeneca. And also, if you missed it on the news tonight, the GSA. Oh, Barry, there's a reason she got shit canned by the Trump administration. She's freaking nuts. And there will be a new member of the piece of shit list tonight. But the GSA has given approval. They have, in effect, declared Joe Biden the winner of the election and ordered that the transition begin. And Biden's already done some cabinet level announcements. John Kerry's coming back. He's going to be basically the climate czar. And another alarming story I saw today are the number of people who are having to go to food banks. Hard times are coming. I mean, it's already hard times. But there's more coming. And, you know, the CDC is worried with the amount of people who are traveling for the Thanksgiving Day holiday. Airports are slammed. Well, that says it all, Barry. I mean, Enron, holy shit. You know, I lost all, so that leaves Rudy Giuliani and some other jackwagon, and I lost all respect. I had a little bit of respect for Giuliani after 9/11, but he destroyed America prior to 9/11. Rudy Giuliani destroyed America and American values because Rudy Giuliani took down the Italian mafia. Basically wiped it out. And always remember and never forget one thing. Yeah, the mafia was bad. It was bad. I mean, come on. But when they whacked somebody, innocent people weren't whacked. And they provided a service. If you think about it. Hey, Jeff, up in Dayton, think about this for 1 minute. Without the Italian mafia, there's no Las Vegas. Think about that. There is no Las Vegas as we know it today if it were not for the Italian mafia. There's a big difference in the Cosa Nostra and the Russian mob and all of this other stuff. Big difference. The Italian mafia started in Sicily and came over. The Italian mafia got a man elected president. Sam Giancana single-handedly. No, There's no, that's the thing, Barry. There is no Italian mob anymore. Giuliani took care of that, unfortunately. But Michigan certified their election. Taxpayers in Georgia should be pissed off to no end because now they have to pay for another recount in Georgia. Nothing is going to change. It's over. Let's move on. It's time to move on. I don't have a dog in the hunt in what's going on down in Georgia. But the ads that are being run by Loeffler are disgusting. They are disgusting ads. Everybody remembers the Reverend Jeremiah Wright and what he said. And she is using that in her ads. And there are some outlets that bleep it, and there are some that let it go. And that's offensive to me. Because I don't think it portrays Raphael Warnock, or she's trying to portray Raphael Warnock as a clone of Reverend Wright. And I don't know. I don't have a dog in the hunt. If you live in Georgia, go vote. Okay? Just go vote. I know who I would like to see win, but Loeffler's a gold digger, man. She was nothing before she married her husband, who was loaded. It's like that Marjorie Taylor Greene, who moved into the Georgia congressional district because she couldn't get the nomination where she really lived. And then she goes to D.C. and starts complaining about there's no gyms open and all this, and that's crap. There are gyms open. They'll probably get closed again, because this crap's not getting any better. Well, Tina, they've already done one recount, and now Trump and his people want another recount, a hand recount, I think is what it's going to be. It has to be finished by next week. Thank you, Jeff. He lost. He has ordered his people to cooperate on the transition. Just come out and say it, Mr. President. I got beat. And please don't run again in 4 years. For an old school Republican like me, it's time to go back and find somebody more along the lines of George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney. That's where the Republican Party needs to be. But the fact of the matter is, the demographics of the United States are changing. And we've got to face that fact. You know, I told you last night about that documentary on Showtime and about Ronald Reagan. And there's a lot of stuff coming out in this documentary that I find rather unsettling. Regarding President Reagan. at the way I feel or felt about. Hi, Tina, by the way, I did not say hi. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. You got to understand, when you're my age and you've been divorced twice, you're always begging for forgiveness. I'm just having to rethink what I thought about Ronald Reagan. And it's it's kind of bothersome in a way that I am having to rethink my opinion on who I thought was a good president. Because everybody likes to blame W on the market collapse and the mortgage crisis and all of that. The fact of the matter is, it started long before George W. Bush. This goes all the way back to Ford and Carter. Because mortgage regulations and requirements were changed, and basically what it meant was there were people being put in homes they couldn't, that they'd never been able to have bought prior to those rules and regulations being changed. It's that simple. People were being put into mortgages that had no business buying a house. I was a banker for a few years, and I saw the documentation. And I saw and looked at it. And folks, there were people getting mortgages that didn't have a pot to piss in. And it all came back on everybody eventually. And then you started having where banks and mortgage companies didn't hold on to those notes long. Prior to that, it's like my parents, they mortgage on the house I grew up in was with First Federal Savings and Loan, and it stayed there for 15 years until my parents paid the mortgage off. Then it became a big deal in the 80s and 90s for whoever was holding the original mortgage to bundle hundreds of those together and then sell them to another company. They take their profit and let somebody else worry about the the probable loss when it had to be foreclosed. So you can't blame W on it. This goes way, way back. And hi, Miss Janae, Darlene. Goes way, way back. And you can't blame Bush. You can't blame President Obama. You can't, come on. You got to have, it's kind of like I was talking. If you don't know what my family medical history is, let's just don't lump the mortgage meltdown and throw W under the bus. This was brewing for years and years and years. It was like when the internet bubble burst. And it burst just in time for Mark Cuban to become a shark. That could be an addictive show, Shark Tank, kind of like American Greed. But kudos for telling his people, let's work on this transition. Now, And see, and that's where, I slammed Loeffler for her ads. And now you got the guy who's running against David Perdue down in Georgia, Ossoff, who is saying he will work with President Biden to eliminate COVID. Thing is, vaccines are going to be out before former Vice President Biden takes the oath of office. People are will have already started receiving the vaccine. Kudos to the first lady of the state of Tennessee. No, that's not Bill Lee's wife. It's Dolly Parton. $1 million to Moderna to help with their work on the vaccine. Kudos to Dolly. Actually, yeah, that begs the question. Is she the greatest Tennessean of all time? Is it Dolly? There's an argument. Thank you, Jeff. People need to hear that. This stuff is no joke. Like I said earlier, if you missed it, in all likelihood, within the next 24 to 36 hours, my daughter Amy will be admitted to the hospital because of COVID. My granddaughter is doing okay, and my great-granddaughter Ashley is incredible. She's doing quite well, according to her mom. We just got to stay safe. But is Dolly? Does she replace Andrew Jackson or James K. Polk or Elvis? But can you count Elvis as a Tennessean? He was born in Mississippi. Yeah, why not? What the hell? But boy, with what Dolly did, boy, that raises a strong argument that Dolly may be Tennessee's greatest citizen ever. That definitely. I did watch the Belushi. Susan, Dolly is a smart damn woman. She is a smart lady. Married in Rango, Georgia. I did watch the documentary on John Belushi, and it was a tough one to watch because it was more showing photos and then conversations that the folks behind the film had with people who knew Belushi. And he didn't like Chevy Chase. And he was a conflicted guy. He was a conflicted guy. Brilliant, but conflicted. Watch it. If you think about it, he's still a part of the greatest comedy film ever made, Animal House. I can watch that movie over and over and over and over again. It's that damn good. For you sports fans, Jim Nantz is asking CBS for a new contract. And he wants as much money as Tony Romo. Now, I am not a fan of Jim Nantz. I think he's a diva. He does great work for the Alzheimer's Association because his father has Alzheimer's. And if you can find it online, go back and rewatch piece from 60 Minutes last night, because I caught it after we finished up last night. All sorts of new information being gathered about Alzheimer's. And very, very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I take John Belushi over Chris Farley any day of the week, and twice on Sunday. Yeah, I think you're right, Cindy and Susan. And just think how much money she made off of Whitney Houston. Think about that one for a minute. A song she wrote for Porter Wagner. And if you're like Cindy and Susan and I and Angie, I see her out there. Hello down in Florida, Angie. Saturday night, and I think it was on Channel 3. Porter Wagner show. Just think how much money she made off of Whitney Houston. But we do have the newest inductee onto the piece of shit list. And it is the Georgia GOP. Please quit sending me texts asking for money for your senatorial candidates. You're sending it to a Tennessee phone number. So Georgia, Republican Party, you're now on the piece of shit list. But you send, reply to end, stop. And I still get one every day. It's just coming from a different number. Kelly Loeffler doesn't need your damn money. She's freaking loaded. Ossoff doesn't need your money. He's loaded. Come on, folks. Give me a freaking break. Perfect, Cindy. They're ass clowns. Real quick before we get out of here tonight. And, Pat, I'm going to reach out to you here in the next couple of days because I need to get Pat Rose, Wrestling Hall of Famer, his son Camden. He is just recorded his first recordings, and they're going to be released January 1st. Pat, I will reach out to you during the week, and we will get him scheduled on here next week. We'll try to get Camden Smith on here, his first release on January 1st. The kid's got some talent, and we want to get him on here. Before we leave tonight, Alan, did you watch Survivor Series last night? I did not watch it. I talked to my son who watched it, and basically he just watched it so he could see the farewell for The Undertaker. And from what I heard, it was pretty good. They had a hologram of Paul Bearer, and they had Ric Flair out there. They had Kurt Angle. and his farewell. So, that's pretty cool. And I think if Pat is still out there, I think he will agree. It's time to bring back kayfabe. Because WWE is out putting out photos of Becky Lynch, who's going to have a baby, and it's Seth Rollins' baby. And they're putting out all these photos with them all lovey-dovey. Seth Rollins is a heel, damn it. Quit doing this. How can we take him seriously as a heel when you have him loving up on the woman who's going to have his baby? It just don't work that way. Bring back kayfabe, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. Randy Orton's gone for a while. Seth Rollins is. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's time to bring back. It's been past time, and I agree, Alan. Way past time to bring back kayfabe. Do your documentaries when the career is over. That's when you do the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair, which is by far and away. ESPN has done a boatload of 30 for 30s. But the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair is the best they've done of anybody. And I think the WWE calls that Undertaker the Last Ride, that documentary about him and his career. You know, do it when it's over, like you did with the Undertaker, and then give him one big send-off. It's a shame that when Ric Flair left the WWE and they had the big send-off, which was unreal, he was so broke he had to go TNA just to pay the bills. And now he's under the Legends contract with WWE, and that way he's got steady income. And thank goodness he's sober. But that's going to wrap it up. You know, I've thought about this long and hard. And I'm not going to take Thanksgiving night off because I think most of y'all are going to be at home. The NFL on Thanksgiving sucks. You're going to be stuck with the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to be here Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Thank you, Susan. I love you, baby. If I had a Tootsie Pop, I'd pull my best Telly Savalas. But we're going to work on giving up the cigarettes, but we ain't going to give up the cigars. So until Thursday night at 7 o'clock, Thanksgiving night, remember, be kind to each other and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you Thursday night at 7 o'clock.